Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time again. That time every single season where we sit down and sift through every single gun a new season brings to crown the best of the best. Think of it as a cliff notes on the best loot for any given season, as today we take a look at the top must-have PvE weapons for Season of the Seraph. We'll be going over around 10 of these alongside some honorable mentions, talking about how to get them, why you want them, and of course what their best perk rolls are. If you're new to the channel and want to see more Destiny 2 PvE content, hit that subscribe button and like button, and also for those that care, you can use code demonjoefrance on Advanced GG from now until Christmas to celebrate them restocking their energy line. I highly recommend Dream Team Punch, Cotton Candy, or 𝗵𝗄𝗡, and shout out to these lovely people that have used my code thus far, as it really goes a long way to support the channel. Without further delay though, let's jump into the video. Now, to kick today's video off, I want to talk about a gun that, of course, is apparently a god in Germanic mythology, meaning I'm probably going to screw up the pronunciation and get yelled at in the comments. But alas, let's talk about the AURVANDIL FR6. Now, if you're not already a fan of chill clip fusions, then this weapon right here might be the one that's going to push you over the edge, because this perk combination that this weapon can get is phenomenal. The AURVANDIL comes from the world loot pool, meaning for the most part you're just going to have to get lucky and have it randomly drop for you outside of umbral focusing. Now, in an insane streak of streamer luck, Bungie somehow managed to bestow upon me the absolute god roll, and it's the same one that I'm going to recommend to you all today: Reconstruction and Chill Clip. And you heard me correctly, the Deep Stone Crypt perk, Reconstruction, rolls on a world loot weapon, and it absolutely works to its fullest potential with Chill Clip. In fact, my fusion can get upwards of 12 in the magazine, and Chill Clip will proc for 10 shots out of those 12, which is insane. Chill Clip fusions are fantastic for dealing with beefy targets inside of PvE, as demonstrated in the gameplay today. And with this fusion being a one-of-a-kind weapon, it absolutely warrants carrying that must-have tag for today's video. Now, what do you get when you take one of the best weapons in Destiny franchise history and decide to, for some reason, make it better? Well, silly, you get the 𝗍𝗔𝗄𝗡 SMG V1.0.3. Ever since its inception, as well as its revival in Season of Arrivals, the 𝗍𝗔𝗄𝗡 SMG has reigned supreme as one of the most notable SMGs in the game. Even once Warmind cells were removed from the equation via the nerfs they saw a few seasons back, many like myself continued using the 𝗍𝗔𝗄𝗡 SMG because it feels just that good. Now, oddly enough, after all this time, Bungie decided to reintroduce this SMG within Season of the Seraph and give it one of the strongest elemental perks in the game, Volt Shot. This can be combined with Feeding Frenzy or Threat Detector to make for the perfect legendary risk runner for when your exotic slot is filled by Witherhoard, Gjallarhorn, etc. It also came with a new origin trait called Rasputin's Arsenal, which reloads your magazine after breaking a target shield, which only adds to the power creep of this version compared to the ones in the past. Now, unfortunately, the new 𝗍𝗍𝗄𝗡 SMG did lose the ability to roll demo in that final column, but Volt Shot feels like a worthy replacement depending on what kind of build you're going for. It comes from umbral focusing in the helm and is also craftable, making the god roll super easy to come by. Moving on from a familiar favorite, let's talk about yet another familiar weapon that feels like it's old, but is entirely new: the Dead Man's Tale's distant relative, Long Arm. Now, aside from the long arm relating perfectly to what sits between my legs as I record this video, it also relates heavily with the Dead Man's Tale in terms of both feel and animations. It truly is the next iteration of a legendary version of an exotic weapon, like we've seen with Ice Luna and Hawkmoon in the past, except in this scenario, Bungie went as far as to give Long Arm its own unique archetype. I'm a fairly big scout rifle simp, so I could be overhyping this weapon, but hot damn, it just feels so much fun to shoot and kill enemies with. Not only that, but it also comes with great perk combinations like Subsistence Dragonfly or Rapid Hit Explosive. You even have Wellspring in that first column if you want more ability-centric stuff. Its origin trait even doubles as an additional reload bonus, as hip-firing targets about 4 times will increase the reload speed as well as your handling and movement speed when ADS. Long Arm is easily one of the best ARC scouts in the game, and you'll find it from the Spire of the Watcher dungeon. Up next for the list, we have a weapon that I dedicated an entire review and analysis to, and that is the Prolonged Engagement SMG. This gun drops from the in chest in Vanguard Strikes and is truly anything and everything an SMG lover could want. If you've been wanting an SMG with stasis synergy that feels like Funnel Web and has both the same perks and even better ones as Funnel Web, then this SMG is a must-have for you. Prolonged engagement even when not building into a stasis build feels phenomenal and is the perfect pick when wanting to keep that Funnel Web feel and use a special energy weapon at the same time. Looking at the perks, we got picks in the first column like Outlaw, Subsistence, Fourth Times, and Feeding Frenzy that we can combine with Frenzy, Surrounded, Multi-Kill Clip, One for All, and Target Lock. The overall perk pool is vast, but over the course of the season, with leveling up Vanguard and prestiging your reputation, you'll be able to land a god roll thanks to the multiple perk slots you earn, on top of the sheer variety and perks this SMG offers, making for great roll combos. Getting back to yet another dungeon weapon for the video, since they're low-key just all bangers across the board, here we have the Terminus Horizon machine gun. Out of all the machine guns in the game, I don't think any of them offer as much god roll variety as this one. Taking a look at the perks, we have combinations such as going full-on elemental with Dragonfly Volt Shot. We also have the roll of triple tap target lock. We have an ability roll like Demo Wellspring, and even a full-on grenade roll with Demolitionist and Adrenaline Junkie. Combine this with the fact that machine guns have just been getting buffed again and again by Bungie over the past few updates, and you got yourself an absolute monster. It sits in the high impact archetype, making the ammo economy pretty damn good since it's so hard hitting, and it genuinely sits at top 3 for my favorite machine guns in the game right now. Up next from Terminus Horizon, let's turn our heads to the first seasonal weapon of the video, the Judgment of KELGORATH. This glaive is incredibly unique in the fact that not only is it the only aggressive frame that's legendary, but it also is the only glaive to roll with the new perk, Close to Melee. This perk states that killing an enemy with the glaive projectile will increase your glaive melee damage, and that glaive projectile or melee damage will extend the duration. This perk is absolutely incredible, and you already got people in the community like Plunder the Booty making absolute godlike builds using this perk. The damage output on this glaive is unlike anything I've seen from the weapon type, so if you're on the fence about picking up glaives for your PvE day-to-day activities, I highly suggest giving this one a try and rolling with either Overflow or Demo combined with Close to Melee. It's craftable and also farmable via Heist Battlegrounds and Umbral Engrams, so you have no excuses. Get your hands on this weapon ASAP. Now, while on the topic of weapons with really unique happenings going on in the perk department, let's talk about the most recent dungeon sidearm to make its way to D2, the Liminal Vigil. You guys know I'm not really all that big on sidearms, so what does this sidearm do that exactly wows me? Well, for starters, it's stasis, which is nice since I'm a huge fan of Behemoth Titan. It's an aggressive burst archetype, which is also a huge dub, but the biggest wow factor of all is this sidearm being one of, if not the only weapon, that rolls headstone in the first column within the perk pool. Not only is that very much unheard of, but in the second column, you can pair that with Kill Clip, Swash, Surrounded, and even Desperado on a sidearm. This gun feels great, hits like a truck, has stasis energy, and can summon stasis crystals without losing out on a damage perk. This is easily one of the best sidearms in the game and is an absolute must-have for people that don't even like the weapon type in my opinion. Moving on from Liminal Vigil, we come to our final dungeon weapon of the top 10, and yeah, I know, a lot of dungeon weapons, but they're really good. Here we have the WILDERFLIGHT Special GL. This weapon is easily the best energy slot breachlight GL in the game, and this is not only because of the crazy perk combos you can get, but also the unique archetype of 2-shot, meaning it shoots 2 shots at a time. So whether you're going on an offensive route with spike nades or defensive route with blinding nades, anything you hit, you'll be hitting like a truck since 2 nades are better than 1. Taking a look at the perks, for blinding, I'd go with auto-loading and lead from gold, maybe disruption break for GM and match game content, and for spike nades, I'd honestly go with just about any perk depending on preference. Every perk here is pretty damn good, and I've even seen some craziness come out of the repulsor brace roll on this gun, so really you can just go with whatever your heart desires here, and it'll still serve you well. Now moving on, here at our second to last weapon for the main list, we have our second seasonal weapon, the Fire and Forget. If you're a fan of Reed's Regret and Storm Chaser, then meet their literal offspring in the form of this weapon. The perks are nutty. Here we have Field Prep and Focus Fury being the role you want, and you can combine that with an archetype and origin trait that just make this thing an anomaly. That's because with the archetype being an aggressive frame, this linear will fire 3 times in a row every time it's charged. Combining that with the 𝗕𝗕𝗓𝗔𝗡𝗔 trait, somebody did the math, and around 80% of the time, you're going to proc that trait before you have to reload, making reloading a worry of the past. Taking this knowledge of the great perk combo and archetype/origin trait synergy and stacking all of that on top of the fact that this weapon is stasis, and you got yourself a craftable linear that deals crazy high damage, can easily font stack with Supreme Wellmaker, and also has really high sustain thanks to not needing to reload. The only downside of this weapon being its crazy kick for every time you fire, but this can be easily fixed by using it on targets like Oryx with a big crit spot, or having someone in the fire team using a divinity. Finally, coming to the last weapon of the main list, we find ourselves talking about the WENDIGO GL3 grenade launcher. Now, I'm not sure if we've already been able to get our hands on this weapon. I personally haven't been able to yet, but it's a gun that's in the Nightfall rotation and definitely should be on your radar. Taking a closer look, WENDIGO looks to be easily one of the best heavy GLs in the game, and despite not being in a heavy GL meta at this current moment, anytime we are due for a buff to the weapon type, making them usable again. I said this exact same thing the season before linears got their massive game-changing buff, and I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen with heavy GLs and Lightfall, but it just doesn't make much sense for them to drop such a fan favorite weapon that many people loved from how strong it was in the past, and you know, Bungie just bringing it for people to have it sit in their vaults because they don't plan on buffing the weapon type. Now, the WENDIGO has some fantastic perks on it like auto-loading, field prep, and clown, combined with explosive light or full court, and I'd really try to grind one of these out this season just in case we see some changes in the future. Although not super amazing right now, I'd pick this weapon up just in case. With that said, we're officially done with the top 10 must-haves of the video, and now I quickly just want to go over some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut, but still are good picks that you should know about. First up, the Deepstone Crypt weapons. I didn't mention these as they would take up too many spots from actual new weapons, but Posterity with its role of Volt Shot Rampage is insane, Trustee being able to get Enhanced Incandescent is a massive change for the weapon, and Commemoration getting Subsistence or Reconstruction with Killing Tally is nutty. Aside from those, I want to make quick mention of the Disparity Pulse Rifle. This is the 4-burst seasonal stasis pulse, and it can roll with Outlaw, Rapid Hit, and Pugilist, combined with Frenzy, Headstone, or even Desperado. Lastly, I'd like to mention the new and improved Seraph Carbine. Yeah, it's in a pretty crummy archetype, but the perks are nothing to scoff at, especially if this archetype gets a buff. Be on the lookout for a reconstruction and target lock roll on this auto rifle. You can get it from the new dungeon. The synergy is just insane, and precision frames are one good buff away from Seraph Carbine being the best in slot kinetic option. Anyways, with all that said, ladies and gentlemen, and with my voice about to actually die because I've been sick the past few days, that's gonna do it for today's video. I always look forward to putting these together for you all each and every season, and I hope you all enjoyed the Season of the Seraph rendition of the top must-have weapons. If you did enjoy, just a subtle reminder to please like the video and subscribe if you're new, as those are both completely free ways to support the content I create here on YouTube, and I would really appreciate it. Before ending things off though, I want to give some special thanks not only to those that watched all the way through to the end of the video, but also to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Admus, Vile, John, Noel, Serenity, and Boomernoob in Tier 2, as well as Austin, Cinco, and Glumia in Tier 3, as well as my Tier 2 YouTube members being Bluesman, Clear, Brian, Angel, Ben McClellan, Hank the Tank, Mayhem Gaming Peak, and Serenity once more. With that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.